I stood there, champagne glass in hand, watching Lisa accept congratulations from our colleagues. The same colleagues who had gathered here supposedly to celebrate my promotion. The promotion I'd worked 5 years for. The promotion that had just been handed to someone who'd started 3 months ago. To Lisa, our new senior project manager. Bob, our CEO, raised his glass. In just 3 months, she's shown incredible initiative and leadership. Sometimes fresh blood is exactly what a company needs. I maintained my professional smile, nodding along with everyone else. If Bob noticed the slight tremor in my hand as I lifted my glass, he didn't show it. Sarah, he'd pulled me aside just before the announcement. I know you were expecting this promotion, but Lisa simply brings more to the table. She's already handling more projects than you, staying later, really showing that executive potential. Of course, she was handling more projects. She'd been systematically taking them from my portfolio since she arrived, always with a sweet smile and a, "I'd be happy to help if you're overwhelmed, Sarah." I took another sip of champagne, remembering all the nights I'd stayed late building this department from scratch. 5 years of sacrificed weekends, missed family events and delayed vacations. 5 years of being the reliable one, the steady hand, the go-to person for every crisis. Lisa floated through the crowd in her designer suit, accepting praise with practiced modesty. "Oh, I just love this company so much. I can't believe how quickly it's become my home." Home. Right. She probably couldn't even find the supply closet without asking for directions. My phone buzzed, a calendar reminder for Monday's executive board meeting. The meeting where, as senior project manager, Lisa would present our department's quarterly strategy. The strategy I'd spent months developing. "Sarah." Lisa's voice cut through my thoughts. "I just want to thank you for being such a wonderful mentor these past months. I couldn't have done this without you." I smiled broader, clinking my glass against hers. "Congratulations, Lisa. You absolutely deserve this." And she did deserve it, deserved everything that was coming. Because what Bob, Lisa, and everyone celebrating didn't know was that I'd been preparing for this moment. Call it intuition, call it paranoia, but I'd seen the signs. The way Bob fawned over Lisa's fresh perspectives. The way she'd gradually inserted herself into my projects. The way certain key files had started disappearing from the shared drive. "Speech," someone called out. "Lisa, give us a speech." Lisa stepped onto the small platform we'd set up for what was supposed to be my promotion celebration. "I'm so honored to take on this role. And I want to share my vision for the department." I listened as she outlined her plans. My plans, actually, down to the last detail. Plans she'd found in the files she thought she'd deleted from the server. Plans that were now safely documented in my private records, along with every email, every modified document and every suspicious transaction I'd been tracking for the past 3 months. "To the future," Lisa concluded, raising her glass. "To the future," I echoed softly, checking my watch. In exactly 72 hours, the board would receive my comprehensive report detailing how our new senior project manager had been systematically sabotaging projects, falsifying reports and taking credit for other people's work. But that wasn't even the best part. The best part was what would happen when they audited her credentials and discovered that her impressive resume was entirely fabricated. Or when they investigated the suspicious patterns in our client billing that all traced back to her computer. I'd spent 5 years building this department's infrastructure. Did they really think I wouldn't notice when someone started tampering with it? "Sarah," Bob called out, "you've been such a team player. Would you like to say a few words?" I stepped forward, raising my glass. "I just want to say how excited I am about our department's future. Some very interesting developments are coming up, especially next week. I can't wait to see how everything unfolds." Lisa beamed, completely missing the edge in my voice. Bob nodded approvingly, probably congratulating himself on how well I was taking this. If only they knew that while they were planning this little celebration, I'd been in meetings with our biggest competitor, the one that had been trying to hire me for the past 2 years. The one that would announce my appointment as their new executive vice president next Tuesday. But first, Monday's board meeting was going to be very, very interesting. I checked my phone again, an email from our IT department confirming receipt of my security concerns documentation. Another from the HR director scheduling an urgent meeting for Monday morning to discuss some irregularities I'd flagged in Lisa's personnel file. "More champagne, Sarah?" Lisa offered, practically glowing with triumph. No thanks, I smiled. I need to stay sharp for Monday's meeting. I have a feeling it's going to be quite memorable. The weekend passed slowly as I prepared for Monday's grand finale. From my home office, I watched my inbox fill with increasingly panicked emails from Lisa as she tried to access missing files for her big presentation. Files that had mysteriously reverted to their original versions, erasing all her plagiarized editions. By Sunday night she'd sent 15 emails and left 7 voicemails. Sarah, I can't find the quarterly strategy documents. The ones I need for tomorrow's board meeting. Please tell me you have backups. Of course I had backups. The original versions with metadata proving they were created months before Lisa joined the company. Along with documented evidence of every unauthorized change she'd made. I spent Sunday evening preparing 3 envelopes. The first contained my resignation letter, effective immediately. The second held copies of all the evidence against Lisa, including screenshots of her attempting to delete my work and emails showing her taking credit for my projects. The third, my personal favorite, contained my signed contract with Marshall and Reed, our biggest competitor, along with a list of clients who'd already agreed to follow me. Monday morning arrived bright and clear. I dressed carefully in my best power suit, not the modest ones I usually wore to avoid overshadowing others, but the Armani I'd been saving for a special occasion. Sarah. Lisa ambushed me in the parking lot, her designer outfit looking decidedly rumpled. Thank God you're here. All the files are wrong. Everything I added is gone. Really? I kept my voice concerned. That's terrible. But I'm sure you have your own copies of your work. She paled slightly. The files were corrupted. But you remember my strategies, right? The ones I developed. You mean the department strategy? The one you're presenting to the board in. I checked my watch, 2 hours. Yes. You have to help me recreate it. I smiled sympathetically. I'm sure you can handle it, Lisa. After all, they're your ideas, aren't they? Before she could respond, my phone buzzed, HR requesting my immediate presence. Right on schedule. Sorry, Lisa. HR needs me. Good luck with the presentation. The HR director, Janet, was waiting with Bob and 2 members of the board. Their expressions suggested my morning was about to get interesting. Sarah. Bob started, looking uncomfortable. Some concerns have been raised about Lisa's credentials and recent activities in the department. I sat down, placing my 3 envelopes on the table. Yes, I imagine they have. For the next hour, I walked them through everything. Lisa's fabricated resume, her systematic theft of my work, the suspicious client billing, and the tampered project files. With each revelation, Bob's face grew paler. Why didn't you say something sooner? He demanded. Would you have believed me? I asked calmly. Or would you have dismissed it as jealousy from an employee who'd just been passed over for promotion? Janet was reviewing Lisa's personnel file. These references, they're all fake. How did we miss this? Because she used a sophisticated reference fraud service, I explained. One I discovered when I noticed discrepancies in her background check. Everything's documented in that folder. We'll terminate her immediately, Bob declared. Sarah, obviously the senior project manager position is yours. We can announce it today. I slid the first envelope across the table. That won't be necessary. What's this? My resignation, effective immediately. But we need you. Bob sputtered. Especially now. The clients dash. I opened the 3rd envelope. You mean these clients? The ones who've already signed with Marshall and Reed, where I'll be starting as executive vice president next week. The silence was deafening. In the distance, I could hear Lisa's voice rising in panic as she presumably discovered she couldn't access any files for her board presentation. You can't take our clients, Bob said weakly. Actually, I can. You see, while Lisa was busy taking credit for my work, I was building relationships with our key clients. They trust me, not the company. And after they learn about the billing irregularities Lisa introduced, well, they're quite eager to follow me. This is corporate sabotage. Bob's face was red now. No, I corrected him. This is consequences. You rewarded someone who took credit for other people's work, who lied about her credentials, and who potentially exposed this company to serious liability. I'm just ensuring everyone knows exactly what they supported at that celebration on Friday. Right on cue, my phone buzzed, a text from our IT director. Board presentation starting. Live stream ready as requested. I smiled. If you'll excuse me, I believe Lisa's board presentation is about to begin. You might want to watch this. We all moved to the conference room just as Lisa was attempting to pull up her presentation. The board members looked on expectantly as she clicked through empty folder after empty folder. There seems to be a technical issue, she stammered. The files were here yesterday. Perhaps you could present from memory? One board member suggested. After all, these are your strategies. Well. Lisa's confident facade cracked. Sarah usually handles the technical details. But these are your ideas, aren't they, Lisa? I spoke up from the doorway. The ones that got you promoted? Surely you can discuss your own work without files. The next 30 minutes were excruciating to watch as Lisa tried to explain strategies she'd never actually created. With each stumbling answer, each vague generalization, the board's expressions grew darker. Finally, the board chairman held up his hand. I think we've seen enough. Lisa, please wait in H. Sarah, do you have the original presentation? I connected my laptop, pulling up 5 years of meticulously documented strategies and successes, all with clear timestamps and authorship marks. This is what competence looks like, I announced to the room. This is what you overlooked in favor of flashy promises and stolen ideas. And this, I pulled up my signed contract with Marshall & Reed, is what it's going to cost you. The chaos that followed was spectacular. Lisa was escorted out by security, sobbing about misunderstandings. Bob was called into an emergency board meeting to explain how he'd allowed this situation. And I calmly packed my office while watching client after client email their intent to follow me to Marshall & Reed. As I packed my office, a steady stream of colleagues stopped by, some to congratulate me on my masterful takedown, others to beg me to reconsider leaving, and a few to awkwardly apologize for celebrating Lisa's promotion. I just can't believe she fooled everyone, Amanda from accounting whispered, hovering in my doorway. Well, almost everyone. I carefully wrapped my Employee of the Year awards 3 consecutive years before Lisa arrived. The signs were there if you knew where to look. Sarah. Bob burst into my office, his tie askew and face flushed. The board is in chaos. 4 major clients have already called to terminate their contracts. You have to help us fix this. I placed another award in my box. Fix what, Bob? The mess you created by promoting an unqualified fraud? Or the one where you dismissed 5 years of loyal service in favor of 3 months of stolen work? I made a mistake, okay? Is that what you want to hear? We'll double the senior project manager salary. Triple it. Actually, I pulled out my phone showing him my new contract. Marshall & Reed already offered me 5 times that amount. Plus equity and a corner office with a view. His face paled as he read the numbers. This will destroy us. Half our client base is threatening to leave. Funny how that works, I mused, packing the last of my belongings. Almost like someone spent years building personal relationships with those clients while you were busy being dazzled by Lisa's stolen presentations. A commotion in the hallway drew our attention. Lisa was being escorted out by security, her designer handbag clutched to her chest, mascara running down her face. This isn't fair, she screamed. Sarah set me up. She's jealous. I stepped into the hallway, speaking loudly enough for everyone to hear. Set you up? By keeping records of you stealing my work? By documenting your fake credentials? Please, explain how I managed to set up 5 years of archived files with my name on them. She lunged at me, but security held her back. You were supposed to be the quiet one, the pushover. Everyone said you'd never stand up for yourself. That's your mistake, Lisa. You confused kindness with weakness. Professional courtesy with lack of ambition. I turned to the gathering crowd. A mistake many people here made. Janet from HR appeared, looking grim. Lisa, the police are here. They'd like to discuss some irregularities in our client billing that trace back to your computer. I hadn't actually planned on the police involvement, but I wasn't surprised. My documentation of Lisa's creative billing practices had been thorough enough to raise serious fraud concerns. Sarah, Bob tried one last time. What do you want? Name your price to stay. I looked around at the office I'd helped build, at the colleagues who'd celebrated my humiliation just 3 days ago. What I wanted was recognition for my work. What I wanted was respect. But you know what I learned, Bob? Sometimes you have to burn bridges to build better ones. My phone buzzed, a message from Marshall and Reed. So, corner office is ready. Board excited to meet their new EVP. When can you start? If you'll excuse me, I smiled, picking up my box of belongings. I have a new office to set up. As I walked toward the elevator, Amanda rushed up. Sarah, wait. A bunch of us were wondering, is Marshall and Reed hiring? I turned back to face the gathered crowd. You know what's interesting? When I negotiated my contract with Marshall and Reed, I insisted on having full authority over building my own team. Starting with people who recognize and reward actual talent, not just those who steal it. Several people pulled out their phones, presumably to update their resumes. Bob looked like he might faint. You're poaching our employees too? No, Bob. I'm offering opportunities to talented people who were overlooked by poor management. There's a difference. In the following weeks, the fallout was even more spectacular than I'd anticipated. The police investigation into Lisa's billing fraud led to discoveries of other irregularities. Bob was forced to resign. 8 key employees followed me to Marshall and Reed, bringing their expertise and client relationships with them. 6 months later, I sat in my corner office at Marshall and Reed, reviewing quarterly reports. Our stock was up 40% since I'd joined, largely due to the influx of clients who'd followed me. My new team, including several former colleagues who'd been similarly overlooked at our old company, was thriving under leadership that actually recognized their contributions. My assistant, not the one who'd celebrated Lisa's promotion, brought in the morning paper. The business section featured a familiar headline: Tech firm files for bankruptcy following mass client exodus. Below was a photo of my old office building with Bob and the board members leaving after another emergency meeting. The article mentioned how the company had never recovered from losing their key strategic architect, and detailed the exodus of clients and talent that followed. I opened my laptop to find an email from Lisa, sent from a personal account, probably during her house arrest.